Hello Internet friends, I'm going to show you Bean Basics 101, how to cook a pot of beans. A lot of people don't see the pleasure or the need to cook beans, but when you have dried beans, they're more economical, they really taste better. You don't have to rinse off the muck that's involved with a can, and if you cook on Sunday, you have fast food for the rest of the week. First thing you do when you get beans is you want to clean them. I also want to point out, not everybody knows this, this clear Rancho Gordo sticker is so that you can reuse the bag. If you don't use a whole pound, which is what we're going to do today, you can go back and reseal it. All right, we're using Buckeye beans today. They previously were known as Yellow Indian Woman, and a lot of people got very offended by that, so we switched the name. And Buckeye actually is a historic name because they're from Montana and they grow really fast, and Montana has a very short season. Oh, I did actually find something. So always check your beans, you never know. So now that the beans, we've sorted through them, all the little pebbles or anything that might be in there are gone. We are going to clean them. Now, of course at home you'd be doing this right in a sink and rinsing them, but through the miracle of television, we're going to clean them here in the studio. And these are pretty clean, they're not so bad. But look, the water's a little bit murky, so it's proof that you really should be cleaning them. The question of soaking comes up a lot, and you know, a lot of people's grandmothers insisted on soaking for 24 hours, changing the water. And here at Rancho Gordo, I'll tell you, most everyone starts out as a soaker, but because they're new crop beans, meaning they're harvested within a year or two, they really don't need to be soaked. But if that's the way you want to cook beans, believe me, I'm all for it. For here, we tend to start with aromatics. And by aromatics, we're going to do onion, garlic, and some olive oil. But if you're going to do a more European style thing, you might want to do carrots and celery in addition. So I've heated up my cast iron that's enameled. Any soup pot will do. I'm going to add some olive oil. What, an eighth of a cup to a quarter cup? I don't want to tell you how much. I'm going to add the onions. I'm going to add a bay leaf. I'm lucky enough to have a tree or 6 of bay. So I put it in now. And we're going to just let this simmer. It's probably on medium heat. It probably could be medium low, but it's medium heat because we don't really want it to brown so much as be translucent. And you'll notice we haven't added any salt yet. The theory is that salt will constrict the beans and make them hard. We really have never found that to be true, but at the same time, I don't want to be the one pot that is true. So I tend not to salt until later, and I'll show you when. Onion and garlic are translucent. I'm going to take the strained beans, add them to the pot. The next step, of course, is water. You know, for heirloom beans or your first pot of a new bean, I would do it as simple as you can. I have people say, oh yeah, I did it really simple. I just used a ham bone. And it's like, well, then you have ham beans. So really, water is your best friend here. Omnivore or vegan, all of them are fine. You want to cover the beans by about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches of water. The beans are ready for their long, hot, luxurious bath. I'm going to turn the heat up high and bring it to a really rapid boil. And if you boil them for about 10 to 15 minutes in the beginning, you're telling the beans, I love you, but I'm in charge here, and I'm going to be the one telling you how things are going, instead of the beans. You don't want the other way around. All right, it sounds like it's boiling. Oh, and lo and behold, it is. So we're going to let it boil for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we're going to reduce the heat. But let's keep it going. I'm going to leave it ajar now, just because. All right, now it looks like it's a very gentle simmer. If you're in a hurry, you could turn it up. If it's Sunday and everyone else is watching TV sports and you're bored, I'd leave it low and just keep going and see what happens. The lower and slower, I think, the better, but you'll still have great beans if you need to turn it up. By the same token, if you're cooking beans and it's been several hours and you're getting frustrated, just turn up the heat. It's not that big a deal. The other problem you might have is the water's running low and you need to add water. In general, I keep a tea kettle or hot water, not from the sink because that's kind of yucky, but warmed water to the beans because it doesn't shock them and it continues with the heat. But you just add it so that there's just a little bit more. If you're a bean person, and I think you are, you know that the bean broth or the pot liquor is just as important as the beans. So you want to make sure you have plenty of liquid and it's as delicious as it can be. So it's on a gentle simmer. Probably, I budget 2 hours, but it probably won't be anywhere near that, but you never know. So you can keep this ajar, and that'll keep some of the condensation in. It will also help regulate the level of the simmer, but basically you can go and enjoy yourself. It's been about an hour into cooking, and the beans are not just smelling like the beautiful aromatics and olive oil, suddenly they're smelling like beans, and that means the beans are starting to cook. So I think now's the time to salt them. You could salt earlier, you could do it later, but the secret is you want to salt them as soon as possible so the salt water permeates the beans and the beans are flavored. But you don't want to do it too late, otherwise you're going to have salty bean broth and bland beans. Also keep in mind you're reducing, so it's only going to get saltier the longer you cook. So these are the slight dilemmas you're going to have as a bean person. So I'm just going to, I use Jacobsen sea salt. And I think for now, that's enough. I'm going to guess that was almost a tablespoon, but probably not quite. And that was for a pound of beans. These look good. They look done as well. So what I'm going to do, get just a few. There's many ways to check for doneness. One is to blow on them, and if the skins wrinkle, they're done. And look at that. Very wrinkly skins. The other thing is you can just pop one in your mouth, and if it's done, they're done. Really up to you. Ouch. Oh my God, they're so good though. All right, now comes the victory. And you know, when you use Rancho Gordo beans in this time-honored method, every pot is a victory for you. So, again, you want to make sure you have delicious beans. Oh, these Buckeyes are something else. Then I'm also going to make sure I have plenty of broth, because that is just one of the most fun things. Test them out. Other than the flavor, the texture is just like melting in your mouth. It's absolutely delicious. And I'm going to do the Mexican thing, which really is to put some chopped raw onion, always white, maybe red if you're in the Yucatan, and not a whole lot. Let's squeeze that. Actually, for one bowl, half a line is plenty. And here you have food, drink, and lodging all in one bowl. Really great. Go make a pot of your victorious beans right now.